What's up, guys? G2 again, back here for part 2 of how to defend against Laloon at Town 09. Alright, so the next step is to make sure your air defense are not accessible to Hog Riders or an Archer Queen at the start of the raid. What I mean by this is, if this air defense here, for example, let's just say we switched it with this Archer Tower, right? This would be a bad choice for a couple reasons. First of all, the air defense is more poorly positioned so that balloons could go down to it faster, it doesn't cover as much area, etc. But also it makes it vulnerable so that I can send in hog riders like this, which will bounce and to kill the air defense. If they can send in like 7 or so hog riders without even using a spell to kill an air defense, that gives them a huge advantage for the rest of the raid, because that air defense would have done a lot more damage than the hogs are worth. Also, if the air defense is, let's say, we move this air defense right over here so that an Archer Queen could shoot at it over the wall. This also makes your air defense worse, because now I can deploy my heroes in a spam Laloon attack over here so that they path this way. So I can deploy them probably like king here, queen here, so that the queen walks this way. If the Archer Queen can take out an air defense before they do spam Laloon, even a well-designed base, 5 hounds, Penta Laloon, against 3 air defense is pretty hard to defend. They could probably take out this base, for example, if we just cut off an air defense and we cut out their heroes and then we had them Penta Laloon the base. It's too much for your heroes. So make sure your air defense are tucked into the base, better, so that they can't be picked off very easily by hogs or heroes. Next step. You should make your towers uneven in terms of forward and back, so that the balloon deployment is harder. What I mean by this is, you look at this mortar and we notice that it's pushed forward like this. If it was in line with the other towers, it would be over here, for example. This is worse than it's being forward, because now when I target your towers, or I target the towers with balloons, I can do 1, 2 balloons like this. With the mortar sticking out, if I do 1, 2 balloons like this, the balloons go this way onto the mortar. If I do 1, 2 balloons like this, hoping to get this wizard tower, they instead go onto the mortar over here, and then balloons over here will go in the search tower. So what this mortar effectively does is it makes this tower and this tower untargetable by balloons immediately, which means that your balloons will clump up more. They're going to take longer to kill the same number of buildings. It's a lot harder to deploy balloons well to towers that are uneven in terms of the position. So if the mortar, again, was moved back over here, now it could just be 2 balloons on this wizard tower, 2 balloons on this archer tower, 2 balloons on the mortar, 2 balloons on this wizard, 2 balloons on this archer. It's a lot easier to get 5 defenses down at the same time. So what you want to do then is, it takes walls, it took a few more walls to go around like this, compared to just doing a flat wall that went like that. So you have to really consider if it's worth the wall investment, but it can make your base a lot harder to Laloon, because typically they're going to deploy a hound, then they're going to deploy a couple balloons on one tower, a couple on the next tower, a couple on the third tower, etc. And if they can't deploy their balloons where they want them to go, instead they bunch up too much, it makes it a lot harder for the balloons to have enough time to get to the air defense and kill the base if, their air defenses are alive and you didn't lose 2 of them to go Laloon, for example. Let's clear this stuff out. Over here, it's a similar idea. This tower is effectively, oops, that's a really thick marker, is effectively impossible to get with balloons immediately, because balloons deployed over here will go towards this mortar. Balloons deployed over here will go to this cannon, or the mortar, whichever is closer. You can't have a balloon go like this. It won't happen. And so you want often wizard towers or something similar, like an archer tower, something that can target air, to be here, because it will stand a little longer to shoot balloons. Down here is one of my favorites for defending against Laloon. Both of the wizard towers are effectively untargetable by balloons immediately. You can deploy balloons like this and like this, but then these balloons will go to this Tesla. If you're trying to get the wizard tower over here, this one over here, you can deploy balloons like this, and they'll go to the wizard tower. you can deploy balloons like this, and they'll either go to that wizard tower or that wizard tower, or sorry, this Tesla or that Tesla. I keep misspeaking. Um, they'll go to one of the Teslas. They won't go to these wizard towers. And two wizard towers shooting a group of balloons will kill them really quickly, especially because I also put air mines over here. And so if this is the end of the raid, you're trying to kill these wizard towers. You have maybe 5 balloons coming this way, and you figure you will use back balloons to kill the wizard towers. If these Teslas pop up, the wizard towers kill the balloons that were meant to be back end. It could completely stop your raid because they'll kill like 10 balloons at the same time if needed. So really make it harder for them to deploy the balloons well on your towers because they're just uneven, they're back and forth. It's really hard to get your balloons to go where you want them to. Alright, trap placement. Skeleton traps on ground versus air, it's tough to be honest. I haven't really seen them do too much when they're in air, when they're set to air, because in general the pups just kill them relatively quickly. I would really do ground traps unless you find yourself getting spam Lalooned all the time. The ground traps ones are just a lot more distracting against Go Laloon. Let's see. Place your black air mines on the air defense that's not going to be killed by the Go Laloon part. So these two air defenses, probably the ones that are going to be killed by the Go Laloon. I've been considering if they tried Go Lalooning from here, I might make some changes to make that harder. But at the moment, I think a jump spell over here with a golem going like this and heroes going like that is easiest. And so I don't put any traps around this air defense. I put my black mines over here especially because this air defense is really odd to try to take out with Go Laloon because the queen just won't go there. So put some air traps on the air defense that are away from your Archer Queen. You want your red air mines. So the black ones on the air defense away from the Archer Queen. The red air mines, you're going to try to make sure they don't hit the Lava Hound because they don't do any damage really. And you want to make it so they don't get hit by pups that explode from the Lava Hound. So in general, they should be like outside the base a little bit. So like this one, for example, this red air mine. I don't think that a pup will explode and get it. Maybe it will. If that's true, then I have to move it back a little bit more. But right now, unless they deploy a hound exactly from this angle, this red air mine will stay there while to hit balloons. Last tip, wizard towers. You've probably heard it before. I'll say again, wizard towers should be out of range of the air defense, in that they won't attack a lava hound that is on top of the air defense. The wizard towers themselves don't do much damage to one troop, and if this wizard tower, for example, is scooted over here, it shooting a lava hound isn't really useful. But a wizard tower shooting a group of balloons does a lot more damage. So you want your wizard towers to be out of range of the air defense. Alright, I think that's enough for part 2. Part 3 we're going to go into different kind of base designs because you've seen the spread base, like just air defense spread out normally. There are bases where all 4 of them are opposite the Archer Queen. You have bases where 3 of them are opposite Archer Queen. Some where like all the air defenses are clumped up a little bit. There's base designs that are different with the air defense placement, all to try to counter Laloon differently. So I'll go into that a little bit. That's for next video though, guys. See you later.